Hello, I'm Donna Hargens, Superintendent of the Jefferson County Public Schools. This is the first of what will be a regular series of videos about what's happening in the Jefferson County Public Schools, beyond what you read in the headlines. It's important that you know what our schools are doing and why. I invite you to send me your questions about district issues to this email address. You will get a response, or your question could be the topic of a future video message. But right now, I want to talk about the most recent announcement of 5 more JCPS schools being added to the state's list of persistently low-achieving schools. You're wondering why. You're asking yourself why our schools aren't performing at top levels. After all, Louisville, Kentucky's biggest city and the state's economic engine, should have more schools in the top tier of schools. Well, we do. We have some of the best schools in the state, and unfortunately, we have some that are not where they need to be. It doesn't have to stay that way. I believe JCPS can be one of the best urban school districts in the nation. But first, let me explain how our schools got on the low-achieving list. Persistently low-achieving schools are those schools that have not made adequate yearly progress, or AYP, in reading and math for every subgroup of students in the school for 3 consecutive years, according to the federal No Child Left Behind Act. Some of our schools have as few as 7, and others have as many as 22 different student subgroups. And every subgroup must reach the same level of performance each year. If just one group misses the goal, the school fails to make AYP for that year. The amount of progress a school makes from one year to the next is not considered. So for example, if a school is expected to increase the number of students scoring proficient or distinguished by 10 points in reading and math, and it meets the goal in reading but only gains 7 points in math, the school fails. All Kentucky schools that meet the criteria are then ranked, and the bottom 5% are identified as persistently low achieving. However, the ranking does not include the schools previously identified as low achieving. Don't get me wrong. I expect every JCPS school to achieve the goals and raise student performance in these critical subject areas. Reading is the one skill that is key to student success in every other subject. And math proficiency is critical to student success in a 21st century workplace. But all is not bleak. Schools are making gains. These schools are making gains, just not big enough gains to satisfy state expectations and keep them off the list. Take a look at this chart. Of the schools named this week, Olmsted North had a gain of proficient distinguished students in 4 out of 5 content areas, as indicated by the green boxes. The school also decreased the percent of novices in all 5 content areas. Olmsted North is meeting 18% more of its NCLB goals. Westport and Myers Middle Schools also increased the percent of students scoring proficient and distinguished in 4 out of 5 content areas. Stewart and TJ Middle Schools each saw gains in at least 2 subject areas. And all 5 schools made gains in the percent of students scoring proficient or distinguished in science and social studies. These numbers are encouraging because they represent the increasing number of students performing at proficient levels. Are we where we need to be? No, but our schools' arrows are moving in the right direction. To make sure that the progress continues, we are in the middle of a curriculum management audit that will determine how well our written curriculum aligns with what is taught and tested, and how well the district's procedures and practices support classroom learning. The recommendations we will get from the audit will enable us to create the structures and strategies that will increase student learning. This is doubly important as teachers integrate the new, more rigorous national academic standards that Kentucky has adopted. In addition to the curriculum audit, we are examining the best practices in instruction in all of our schools. It is important that we know what's working and what's not in every one of our schools. I want us to identify where we're effective and where we're not. By virtue of the designation, you would expect these school scores to decline or remain static. Yet each one saw increases in student proficiency in 2 or more subject areas. What did they do to raise their students' performance? For that matter, how did the schools named to this list last year obtain, in some cases, double-digit gains in the number of students reaching proficiency? I believe it can be attributed to the commitment and work of the teachers, staff, and students in those buildings. Going forward, I welcome the opportunity to work with the State Department of Education and to find ways to help each PLA school improve student performance. Whatever intervention model is selected by the Board of Education, the ultimate goal is for every principal and every teacher to have the resources he or she needs to help their students become proficient in all subject areas, tested or not. This is just the first step along the path of improving student learning in the Jefferson County Public Schools. Thank you for watching.